Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. This is Junaid Evirgan. I'm the faculty director at GSU-CIBER, talking from Georgia State University based in Atlanta, Georgia. And it's a great pleasure that we are kicking off our webinar series for the academic year of 23-24, and this being the very first one. Well, these webinars are being offered to you through GSU-CIBER and on behalf of the MSI Cyber Consortium, consisting of 10 cybers in total. And for first-time participants that are joining us, we were very welcome, and we're very glad that you're starting off with our webinars, because year-long we'll be having different topics on teaching, research, or executive conversations that will try to bring to you different insights of international business. As a note, we started these webinars back in April 2020, and so far we've exceeded 90 such webinars. And all of our webinars are recorded. After a brief editing delay, they would be available at GSU-CIBER website as well as our YouTube channel. We just have one small request from you. When you exit, you'll be directed to a survey to reflect on your impressions about this webinar, as well as any recommendations you would have. Please respond us and give us feedback, and so that we can incorporate them in our future planning. In terms of operations, everyone except the panelists are muted in the webinar, but we highly encourage questions and comments, which you may share using the Q&A button or the chat function. Either way, the moderators and the speakers will be responding to you. If there are any handouts, they will be provided by the speakers and will be emailed to all the attendees. Well, now with today's topic, which is student-written, instructor-facilitated, SWIF in short, case writing technique in collaborative online international learning. And we've got great scholars with us who will be sharing the impact and the reflections of such practice coming from a variety of institutions altogether. The webinar will be moderated by Dr. Murat Dagli, who is the Associate Dean for International Student Engagement and Partnerships. And he'll be joined by Dr. Asma Chabi, from Assistant Professor for Mediterranean School of Business. So with these introductory remarks, again, I would like to thank each one of you for sparing your time and being with us at this webinar. And we hope to see you in future webinars as well. And with that note, I would like to hand it over to you, Murat.
Thank you, Junaid. Much appreciated. And thank you to CIBER for giving us yet another opportunity to share some of the good work that I and my colleagues and our partners around the globe have been engaged in. This is a privilege for us, and I am very delighted that I am joined by one of our partners from North Africa, Tunisia. I want to, in addition to thanking CIBER, I also want to thank of course, the support from the DOE, Department of Education, BIE, Business International and Education programs and office, for supporting these initiatives and supporting some of these signature experiences that cross borders within the context of COIL or virtual exchange or otherwise. Without further ado, I would like to introduce my colleague, Asma Chabi. Asma, like I said, has been a partner of mine. She just completed, I believe, her PhD, and I want to congratulate her and being able to engage in these signature programs while working on a PhD is quite a feat. So Asma is an assistant professor at the South Mediterranean University, Mediterranean School of Business in Tunis, Tunisia. It's a wonderful institution, and it is predominantly an English language institution. And if you know anything about Tunisia, that is definitely something very special, given that, of course, that French has traditionally been the main language of instruction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Asma, and I'm going to ask her first to tell us more about herself and what she's doing. Asma?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Murad. Hello, everyone. Thank you, CIBER. Thanks all for CIBER to give us this opportunity to share our insights and our reflections about innovative approaches in education. So I will share my screen and to So let me start by introducing myself. So my name is Asma Shaibi, assistant professor at the Mediterranean School of Business. My PhD specialization is management, and actually my academic journey has led me to explore various aspects of management with a strong focus on marketing and consumer behavior. In addition to that, I have an interest in healthcare marketing, also in international education, more specifically policy and practice. And I've been actively engaged in the scholarship of teaching and learning, a field that continues to inspire me as it explores innovative approaches to education.
Very good. Thank you, Asma. All right. So we start first by explaining what SWIF is, this acronym. Could you please start by telling us what it means?
Okay, so I have a visual for that. So actually, the SWIF is an acronym that stands for Student Written Instructor Facilitated, that represent a dynamic educational methodology that has been transforming the way we teach and learn in collaborative online international learning, or COIL. And as its core, the SWIF technique is a collaborative process. It places students in the driver's seats of their education, empowering them to take ownership of their learning journey.
Very good. Could you tell us a little bit more and what makes it special about the process maybe that is involved in SWIF?
So actually, when we talk about the SWIF case writing technique, it is all about collaboration and learning by doing. So students, under the guidance of their instructor, come together to create real-life case studies. So it is about creating and writing real-life case studies. This isn't just about writing, it is also about researching, identifying, analyzing, and presenting these cases all as a team. The beauty of the SWIF lies in its simplicity, actually. It empowers students to draw from their unique background and experiences, enriching the learning process as they come from different backgrounds and different cultures. So while student case writing isn't new, the SWIF process takes it a step further, actually. It's about going beyond just conceiving and structuring cases. It is also about diving into analysis, into writing, and presentation and of course, all facilitated by an instructor. What can I say more? And SWIF, in essence, SWIF is an active learning, okay? And a holistic approach to education. It is really a powerful tool for engaging students. You know that all of us as professors, we always try to find new ways how to engage the students. So this is really a good tool to fully engage students in their academic journey, and not only being as only a listener, but also a creator of knowledge.
Very good. Absolutely. We all are always looking now, especially with short attention spans, and always looking for ways to engage students. And I think 2 points you mentioned, that active engagement and participative approach and that creativity involved, I think go a long way. Could you delve a little bit more into maybe comparing the SWIF approach to traditional teaching methods?
Yeah, sure. So the traditional, the traditional technique, the traditional case technique, of course, has a lot of advantages and unquestionable advantages. However, it keep the students in the seats of analysis. So we give the students ready case studies, and the students need only to analyze those information and interpret those results. So they are like passive observers. They are not in the creation of the knowledge. Also, they only respond to facts, the facts that are already in the prepared cases. and they are primarily recipients of knowledge. And at the same time, for the professor, their main roles as evaluator, they evaluate what the students analyze, they coach, and they are as moderators. However, so here is the traditional case technique, and for the SWIF case technique, the student has different roles. He researched when he's writing the case study, so he's the one who's writing the case study. He's the researcher, the negotiator, interviewer. For example, for data collection, he can go for a primary data collection, so he do interviews and all of that, and he's the one who writes the case study, so he's the creator of knowledge. And the professor is only a facilitator, and he's a content advisor, so he tried to mentor the students and just show him the right way. So this is basically the difference between the traditional case writing technique and the SWIF case writing technique.
Very good, very good. By the way, Asma, I see already there are a couple of questions in the chat. I can ask them now since they're relevant to some of the topics you mentioned, or I can save them for the end, whatever works best for you.
Yes, for sure. We can reply to the questions.
So a question from Kathleen Mons. What strategies, since you talked about engagement, and that's a big area for all of us, what strategies exist to engage the quiet students in the case study writing process? So
she means the traditional case writing?
The traditional case writing, the SWIFT technique here. How do you engage the quiet students in the SWIFT?
Actually, in the SWIF case writing technique, they work in teams. So all the students are engaged in writing this case. So no students is just listening and analyzing the ready case studies. So he is like kind of obliged to work with his team members and to be engaged fully to whatever role he's given. Like he researched for specific information. He's the one, for example, in a team, they divide roles. So each team member has a specific role. So I think with the SWIFT case writing technique, everyone is engaged and everyone is there to create and to write the case study.
And something we'll talk about later on, Maasma, is the student, if she is given a specific role, then the feedback, there is benchmarks and there is actually weekly briefings. And so that contribution by the student is being monitored, of course. There's a deterrence aspect, but there's also an engagement aspect because this is a topic that the team chooses and the students obviously is engaged in it. Another question, since that's also relates to this point, is can SWIFT be used with undergraduate business students?
Actually, and I will talk later for our experience, me and Dr. Murad. Actually, we used this for the undergrad program, and we were surprisingly with the power and with the power that the undergrad has in research and in writing case studies.
Very good, and we'll talk.
Yeah, it could be applied.
Yes, we'll talk a little bit more later on about the support system that we created that was also, of course, helpful. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Asma, for addressing those two questions. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the benefits of this approach? And later on, we can kind of use our joint case writing example to highlight those benefits too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a slide for that. Actually, within the rhythm of the SWIFT case writing technique, there are numerous advantages. However, for the sake of brevity, we have chosen to highlight the most significant ones on this slide. These key advantages captures the essence of how SWIFT transformed the educational landscape. There are three distinct benefits of this approach. First, and this is really important, it bridges the difference between theory and practice. Second, this technique, students apply theory to real-world scenarios and encourage critical analysis. And lastly, students from diverse backgrounds collaborate, enhancing and fostering their intercultural competencies. And here we can talk about the COIL and virtual exchange teams and all of that.
Very good.
So, yes.
Yes, go ahead. If you could elaborate maybe on each one of these points and use examples as much as you can to highlight these benefits.
Yes, for sure. So I will start with the bridging theory and practice. So actually, the SWIF technique simplifies complex ideas and connect classrooms theories to real-world use. It is not only about teaching concepts. Students need to know how to use these concepts and these theories, in the real-world business. So in case study writing, the investigator observes and records a phenomenon or event, and here the investigator we mean by the student, but at the same time, the student examines the meaning of the observations and interprets them within the context of prescribed or emergent theoretical framework. Also, we should talk here, of course, about the student engagement. So with the SWIF, students are no longer just sitting and listening. They are actively involved. They take on different roles, like researchers, as I said earlier, negotiator, and writers. It's like they are part of a dynamic team. And for the real world, basically SWIF brings it into the classroom. So students dive into simulated real world settings. They do research, analyze, and make decisions. It is just like professionals, okay? It is like a practice run for the real thing. So now imagine this. With the SWIF, students get to play detective. They explore ideas in case studies, just like solving a mystery. They assess information, make conclusions, and develop hypotheses. It's like they are solving real problems with a gut. And also we have, with the bridging theory and practice, we need to talk about data. So the SWIF helps students understand how to use data in real-world situations. They learn how to take what they've learned in class and apply it in real situations. It is like connecting the dots between theory and practice. So this is really important for students, and businesses really captured this, that the student shouldn't only know about theories, but should also know how to apply those concepts and theories in the real world business. For the real world relevance and critical analysis, student writing cases are like a bridge between classroom theories and real world businesses. They help students really get what's happening out there, okay? These cases put learners face to face with the real business challenges. Actually, it's like taking them behind the scene of decision making in the business world. By working with these cases, students get better feel for the business world twists and turns. So actually, it is like giving them a map to navigate the ever-changing landscape. Now, here is the cool part. So the SWIF technique boosts students' critical thinking, and this is really very important as a skill that the student should have. They become experts at analyzing data and making smart choices. So these skills are like gold in the professional world, as I said. It's like sharpening their problem-solving skills. They become pros at thinking through tough business issues and solving them thoughtfully and strategically. And here I want to share with you some insights from the research of Ross and Soya in 2000 and 5. Actually, these researchers has studied a lot about the SWIF case writing technique and its importance for students to how to apply theories in the real world. And their study showed the good results and positive results of students using this SWIF case writing technique. And finally, we have, with the use of virtual exchange or what we call COIL, it fosters the intercultural competencies and intercultural sensitivity. So here it is a fact that businesses, that business leaders have raised concerns about the readiness of fresh recruits in today's dynamic work environment, particularly within decentralized organizations. So while these new employees often come equipped with technical proficiency, actually there is a noticeable gap in crucial areas like the communication, like the self-awareness, like the intercultural awareness. So in today's environment, it is really important that that a student has this intercultural sensitivity. And specifically, this approach aims to bridge the gap between the theoretical knowledge and this intercultural competency. So with the SWIF, students get to connect with peers from different cultural backgrounds using the virtual exchange experience or the COIL. It is like traveling the world from your classroom. Specifically after the COVID-19, it is really a great idea and great way to make students travel the world while they are sitting in their classes. So they work together on case writing, gaining insights into global perspectives, and this helps them become more aware of different cultures and more sensitive to cultural differences. So they work with people from different backgrounds and with different time zones, and this makes them embrace the diversity, and this is really important. So imagine imagine a table where everyone brings something different from their backgrounds and from their culture, and they share it between them. And this is what SWIF does. So students bring diverse perspective to the table, and this diversity makes discussion richer and the solution more comprehensive that contains different backgrounds.
Very good. Asma, if you don't mind,
Yes.
I want to make sure we have time to talk about the actual experience. And I see quite a few questions. They seem to center around student preparedness and the structure of the process. So we'll save those so that we have a conversation on that. Oscar and Kathleen will get to those questions. I want to make sure I'm able kind of to summarize some of the key points you shared before we talk about the actual experience. You did talk about bridging theory and practice, right? So this is, of course, a hallmark of the case method per se, right? On the analysis side and on the of course, writing side. On the writing side, you talked about that active engagement, right? That goes far beyond just analyzing, the challenge or finding what went wrong or what should be done. You also talked about relevance and critical analysis, right? This is something we noticed, is that the students really had to squeeze those brain cells, right? And address those challenges in the 3 cases that we will share. Now, the last point, intercultural competency, I want to make sure our audience know that SWIF does not necessarily involve students from different cultures, from different backgrounds. Georgia State University, through the Department of Education grant and through the support of CIBER, GSU-CIBER, has been engaged in virtual exchange. I see us as a leader in that space. Currently, we have 500 plus students engaged in virtual exchange across about 13, 14 sections with partners in Tunisia, in Morocco, in Egypt, in South Africa, in Nigeria. We added Turkey, Finland, Indonesia, Brazil, Portugal. So we have a wide portfolio of partners. Now, this is an added complexity to this project. So, and as that element of diversity and that element of intercultural competency, right? So the SWIFT itself is not necessarily about cross-cultural competencies, but the context in which that project was used. So those are the kind of the three elements that you talked about. I would like for us to now zoom in and talk about the actual experience, the actual process. And the first project, we changed a few things as we went, but we still, you know, that's very dear to us. If you could tell us more about the actual SWIFT project between Robson College of Business students and Mediterranean School of Business students.
Mm-hmm. So here, actually, I want to share some pictures of our collaboration with the RCB, Robson College of Business at Georgia State University. Actually, this was our first experience, and the students were, as an assignment, they need to write cases. So we used the SWIF Case Writing Technique in this virtual exchange. So the cases revolved around specific issues encompassing various domains such as international business, management, marketing. However, the implications should be related to international business. So here we had joint sessions. So in each, so let me start. So the teams, MSB and RCB, we divided them into teams, and each team is composed of 4 students, so 2 MSB plus 2 RCB, and we had joint sessions where the MSB student and RCB students come together, and we used to create breakout rooms, so they have the opportunity to discuss their progress, and if they have any issues to say or something. And this is actually the process. So during the virtual exchange experience, the students were presented with a project outline that guided their collaborative efforts. The project task encompassed a series of steps, commencing with the identification of a hook. So the first step, they should identify a hook. They had the option to work on specific companies or actually an industry. So they have the option to work on industries, from startup firms and SMEs to NGOs. After that, the students engaged in comprehensive data collection, drawing from both secondary and primary sources, including valuable insights from Atlanta-based and Tunisia-based organizations. Actually, they applied various analytical frameworks here, such as SWOT analysis, PESTEL analysis, Porter 5 forces, and all of that. And finally, the students crafted well-organized cases, ensuring that it is not only presented facts, but also they need to give a recommendation. And this is really an added value. And this is it. So this is it, the process. They need to start from identifying a hook, then they collect the data, analyze those data, and finally draft the final case. And also we had deliverables. So the first deliverable was the case topic. So the first, they needed to submit, each team needed to submit his own hook. And after that, we asked them to submit a case outline. The case outline includes key players, timeline, synopsis, and all of that, so we can see the structure or the global structure of their cases. And after that, they had to present it. So this is not only about writing the case, but also presenting it in a form of video. And also we chose peer evaluation forum as a way to assess the team's work and the team's progress. And this is a way where we give the responsibility to students to assess each other. And also we have the individual reflections, and along the project we had mentorship. So, and of course the weekly briefing, as Dr. Morad said, the weekly briefings are used to track the progress of the team and see if there are some challenges are facing.
If you don't mind me adding here one point about the mentorship, that was very critical because it is difficult to develop a mental map, especially industry mental map. Students can do country analysis because there's a lot available there through Global Edge and through other sources. And the companies, you know, especially publicly traded companies, sometimes it's a lot easier to work in, but the industry is quite difficult. So one thing that was helpful in this project and later endeavors is to recruit mentors, and the mentors are basically experts who join the students virtually. In this case, they can actually do videos, they can answer questions online, join the team meetings and answer specific questions. And we noticed that industry type questions are the most common in this contest. The mentorship really was a nice addition to this project, and something that we kept for subsequent projects too.
Mm-hmm. This is true. And the good thing in this project, actually, we organized a case competition, and this is really was a successful event. So I can say that this competition that was sponsored by CIBER. These are the pictures, these are the winning teams. So the first winning case is an industry case. They chose to work in the jewelry industry, and this case offers a comprehensive exploration that goes beyond just assessing growth potential of the industry, understanding the inner workings of the jewelry business and identifying investment opportunities. Actually, they included also the unethical practices in the jewelry industry, and really it was an interesting case. The second case, the second winning team chose to work on how COVID-19 pandemic affected the hospitality industry, focusing on Airbnb. So the case looked at how strict cleanliness rules increased Airbnb's costs and how local lockdowns led to a significant drop of nearly 60% in Airbnb booking. So it was about the impact of COVID-19 on Airbnb. And the last winning team worked on Starbucks in Turkey. And this case actually explores the compelling question of how Turkey, with its distinctive culture, rich coffee tradition, and various barriers, can position itself as a Starbucks second market in Europe. And the inquiry revolves around the unique challenges and opportunities inherent in bringing the Starbucks brand to a market with its own culture, nuances, and complexities. And actually, this experience was not only about grades. We have really remarkable outcomes and rewards. So there were several noteworthy outcomes and rewards. And really, for me, one of the major achievements was the successful presentation of the student cases at AIDRP International Conference in Chicago. It is really a noteworthy outcome for the students and also for us. Also, Georgia State University recognized the students' effort by offering them virtual badges to all the participants. And really the students were happy of that, and they were really motivated. And actually all of them shared this virtual exchange on their LinkedIn. Moreover, the top performing teams were further acknowledged with certificates of completion, also from Georgia State University, and the excitement was real. And to add to this excitement, CIBER generously provided monetary awards to the winning team, making the program not only academically enriching, but also rewarding in tangible ways. And this really was an interesting one.
Very well, very well. Asma, if you don't mind, I want to piggyback on something you mentioned. I have a visual I would like to share briefly here. So let me see if I can do that. And maybe before we jump into the question, there are quite a few very interesting questions here. So let me see if I can share my second screen here. And I want to bring everyone's attention to the many of you here who are, of course, educators, follow AACNU. We follow some of their research, some of their webinars, but the AACNU developed or proposed a list of high impact practices. We are all concerned about the college to career, of course, frameworks and how we can reinforce career readiness. But HIPs, high impact practices, have been shown to really form, they have evidence, there is strong evidence that they have significant educational benefits and career benefits. And these are the high impact practices that are listed by the AACNU capstone courses and projects. This was done at the 4th year, so these students are at the last year of their BBA program, Bachelor of Business Administration. So that's a high impact practice. This is a collaborative assignment, so that's the second one. When you get students to collaborate on demanding projects. So we are talking about 2 high impact practices here, and then of course, within the context of virtual exchange or COIL, collaborative online international learning, we're talking about diversity and global learning. So the SWIF really kind of incorporates that 3rd high impact practices. In addition to that, we are also talking about undergraduate research, right? So with the support we provide the students, and the research involved first primary and also secondary type research. Obviously, in this case, that is also a high impact practice. So what my colleague Asma has been talking about is really the intersection or integration of 3 or 4 high impact practices as identified by the AACNU. Asma also did talk about careers and career readiness and how important this is on the practice side. I want to share a couple of things here, and I'll put this in the chat. We follow, of course, the work out of the World Economic Forum on a regular basis. They publish some of the top skills that are needed by employers, and these are the skills. You're looking at analytical skills, creative thinking, flexibility. So all of these, of course, technology is part of it, but these are the skills that SWIF talks about, that SWIF actually addresses. So in this case, at least 4 of these top 10 skills, as identified by the World Economic Forum, are achieved, or at least are addressed by this high impact practice. And then, of course, we do follow, of course, in international business, some of the work that comes out of HALT and other leading international business sources. But for international business practitioners, these are the top skills: self-awareness, integrity. You recognize these from some of the top skills for expatriate success, but also we see cross-cultural competencies, team skills, critical thinking, communication, in this case, cross-border, cross-time zones. So what we have been talking about here, my colleague has presented, is something that really integrates some of the top skill building competencies and tools identified by the World Economic Forum, by some of the major sources on international competencies and skill building like HALT, and on the, of course, high impact practices. So it is an impactful, it is a signature experience. It's a little bit complex to implement. I see some of the questions about the times and when is it appropriate, when it's not, and I'm happy to ask my colleague those questions and we go through them one by one. But there are certain caveats, obviously, to these to make sure that this is a successful undertaking. So thank you, Esma. I would like to
you.
go through the questions now, and we have time to address these. Of course, I believe one of the first questions is by Kathleen here. Are the teams selected by the faculty or the students put themselves in team? And is there any personality test like the Myers-Briggs, leadership personality test to determine how to create the best teams?
Mm-hmm. So actually what we've done, me and Dr. Murad, it's us who choose the team members, because it is somehow complex and difficult to let the teams choose themselves in terms of time and all of that. So it is us to choose the team members. And I think this is the point. The students should be capable to work with students or with team members that they do not know and they do not choose. And this is in real life also. So in real life businesses, we do not choose with whom we work, and in teams it should be the same. So it is us who choose the team members, and I think it went well. There were no major issues, but in teams there are always that normal issues.
Yes, yes. And if I could add, we ease the teams into their task. This is a complex task, and the first deliverable is called what we call a team charter. They have to find a team name, and that name has to reflect something they find in common. So, for example, if you have Team Barcelona, it's because everybody likes the soccer football team Barcelona. We have Team Foodies because they all like to go and like food. We have team, one of the creative one, I think we had Team what you call it? They call it Tunisia peach, something, the peach state with. So the students get creative, and even though it sounds like just a fun extra project, but it is really important to make sure that the students spend time getting to know each other, getting to know a little bit about themselves, and we don't ask for the second deliverable to about 2-3 weeks later when they had enough time to meet and chat and they choose their platform. So that's one way we try to build those type of kind of networks within teams before they start working on their project. But we do place them, of course, as my colleague mentioned, in teams. The other question is from Oscar. What kind of minimum knowledge or skills in research should the students to engage correctly in this methodology? So what kind of research skills, I think foundational research skills, that should be present before they can actually undertake the SWIFT projects?
Okay, for the MSP case, we do have this project in L3. So after having a course about the methodology, the APA style, so of course the students should have a minimum of research like the APA style. He should know, or they should know, about the plagiarism, the structure of the research, how to analyze the data, what is primary and secondary data, what types of interviews, and all of that. So for us, we cannot give this project for L2 or L1 because there should be a minimum of knowledge about research. We give it to the L3 students after having a course of methodology. So yeah.
Really, and that's similar to on our side. I mentioned earlier that this is at the senior level, having finished pretty much all of their business courses. Having said that, we do have the support of a business reference librarian who really, the library, they really do a lot more than just facilitating access to resources. So actually they have done a lot in terms of supporting the students, and even in the survey design, we want to make sure before anything goes out to key stakeholders that those are reviewed. And we do have the very solid support from the GSU library, and they have been engaged in this project with us. There's one question by Kathleen too. I'll answer quickly. 16 weeks or 8 weeks? Honestly, 8 weeks I don't think is long enough for such a project. We had 16 weeks. This actually went through the whole semester, and we even, I know my colleague and I agree on this, we wish we have a little bit more time. So
yes.
it's quite intensive even for 16 week. So that's I think a shorter period of time can be quite challenging. All right, so I'll move down to the other questions here. Again from Catalina, in what ways has your university captured, stored, organized the final case study in a way that allows future students to review these cases as best practice samples and or improve the cases? Excellent question. I'll let you start.
Yes. So first of all, the winning team, as I said, we already try to present these winning cases in the AIDRP International Conference, and we should really think of using these case studies. And actually, we are planning to create a website. And we will call it case studies about international business, where we will include all the top case studies, so students can use these cases and review it and make advantage of it. So yeah, I think we should, and this is our plan. We are planning to include it in the website where all these cases are included.
Very good. And Kathleen, I mentioned this as an excellent question, because something we actually have been talking about recently is how do we make sure that these are available? In terms of assessment too, I know we actually, this is one project out of a portfolio of projects that we embed into the virtual exchange. We have country risk assessment and opportunities. We also have re-consulting projects for companies. We have the SWIF. So we actually, when we build the relationships with South Mediterranean University or ESCA in Morocco or University of Pretoria or Lagos Business School, we have also Nile University in Egypt. We've done risk and opportunity assessment, and we are looking at expanding and doing some of these high impact practices. A key question is assessment and also learning from experience. So one way we are addressing this is to create some kind of shared resources, pooled resources place where students can go in and say, oh yeah, this is a good example of a consulting project, right? My colleague Salamaudi Farias did this for a Portuguese company interested in Africa. Or this is an excellent example of a risk and opportunity assessment at the macro level, or this is at the industry level. So we are actually looking at that, not just within the SWIF project that we are presenting today, but within the portfolio of virtual exchange project that we have built over the years with our partners. And again, we are, like as I mentioned, we are expanding in South America, in Asia, in Europe. So it becomes critical that we pool those resources and they become part of the kind of knowledge building, process. Lee Woodward asked the question, have you used SWIF in evaluating the selection, planning, and management of projects in intercultural environments? I hope I'm reading this correctly, but maybe the impact of these SWIF in terms of maybe to practice, I believe, if that's if I'm reading this correctly. So Asma, what have we...
Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, the question, Lee, says, have you used SWIF in evaluating the selection, planning, and management of projects in intercultural environments?
In intercultural environments. So yes, it is this experience is one of the intercultural environments where we used SWIFT with the students that do not have the same culture, do not have the same backgrounds, and of course not the same time zones, and was really a successful one. And a part of these, we actually used a part of case writing techniques. We used this virtual exchange experiences in other projects like the market potential assessment in Africa. And we did that with Dr. Murad, Dr. Wang, and today we're doing it with Dr. Vandana and Dr. Salama.
Very good, very good. The last point I want to emphasize, this is not a one-to-one relationship. This is institutionalized, and we have a group of faculty members who engage with our partners across the globe. But one additional point to Lee's question, we also use assessment tools, of course, as assurance of learning. The main two tools we use is the intercultural sensitivity scale, and that is a 5-dimensional scale that measures comfort with working with others from cultures, comfort in communicating with others, and three other dimensions. We do pre and post. So that's something that we've been doing not just in this project, but in all virtual exchange projects. We also have used qualitative sources of feedback. We ask students for reflections. So they write a reflection essay. It's not overly structured, but to ensure we have enough meat, we ask 4 or 5 questions, getting started, describe the process, the conflict, key takeaways, just kind of few items to guide the student in these reflections. And we run these through in vivo, and we have, of course, the data now analyzed, and we have presented that. As a matter of fact, we just presented that at US Africa Chamber, who's our partner in this type of project. So on that side of it, Lee, we also do have the kind of the academic assurance of learning measurements that we do pre and post for all of these projects. All right, so yes, Katina, and a question. Katina is very active today, always with good questions. Any thoughts on encouraging faculty now to generate action research papers from the experiences of using SWIFT in their classrooms?
This is really a good question. So yeah, we do really hope that faculty can duplicate this experience and this tool in other courses, and also in other levels. And I think that for the EMBA or for the masters could be a good tool to foster and to enrich the students in research, and teach them how to write case studies collaboratively and in teams, in virtual teams. So we hope so. We hope so that the other faculties would duplicate this this experience.
Very good. And just a note to our attendees, I just shared, I hope with everyone, a link to the high impact practices. These are the practices that have been identified as making a difference in college to career. And I'm also now going to share with everyone and the attendees the World Economic Forum. This is a very interesting resource. This is the World Economic Forum top skills that employers, they talk to CEOs and C-suite in this case, value as some of the top skills of future talent. And I am also going to share the HALT study. This is more focused on international. It's a full study, and it's focused on what type of skills are needed for anyone who will engage in cross-border exchange as an expatriate or import or export or the like. So all of the 3 resources I just mentioned, I just added here to the link. Let's see here. We have a couple more questions. Have any faculty who have used SWIFT provided their outcomes as evidence of assurance of learning for business school accreditation requirements? Okay, this is now talking about accreditation. So, Asma, I'm curious, actually, I didn't ask you this, so I'm going to ask you first to answer this, and then I'll share what's happening here at the Robson College.
So yes, for sure. You know, for the accreditation, they really are now emphasizing on the undergrad research. So our department who are responsible for accreditation, they were asking me in every term the names of international professors that are included in this virtual exchange. And we also shared with them some surveys of the intercultural sensitivity and the case studies and the outcome of the case studies on all the outcomes of the virtual exchange, like reports and all of that. So yeah, so this is really important for accreditation, and especially for the undergrad research. You know, they are now emphasizing on the undergrad research. So we are really, I think, contributing in a positive way.
Very good. It is similar story for us here. We always love outside, of course, evidence, non-classroom based evidence exams and otherwise, which tend to be somewhat not as robust in assessing, learning and the assurance of learning. So in this case, what my colleague mentioned, the ability of students at the undergraduate level from, in this case, Tunisia and US to have their work presented at the conference. It's a regional conference, of course. We're not talking about AUM in this case or AMA, but it is great because the students now on their CVs can add that as one of the publications they were involved in, and for undergraduate students that makes a difference. The other one is, of course, now we all know that many students are keen on micro credentials. This is the trend, badges, certifications, and those type of qualifications. So the badge that we provide is called Virtual Exchange Badge. It is supported and sponsored by our Office of International Initiatives at Georgia State University, and all students, GSU students and partner students, whether they are in Egypt or South Africa or in Morocco, Tunisia, Nigeria, receive this badge. And this badge goes on their LinkedIn, portfolio, CV, and that is paid for by Georgia State University. As far as accreditation, yes, absolutely. We do provide these, whether it's their badges or whether they are other indicators of whether conference presentations or the like. We do include that in our assessment, and it is an integral part in the accreditation processes. And now we all know that undergraduate research is really a priority. So many schools now are keen on promoting and developing capabilities for undergraduates to engage in research. This is a good way, headway into that. And of course, this, as I saw some of the comments, it's a good way to also engage faculty in research. So for faculty, as some of you have commented, this is a good way to manage teaching while at the same time remain active in research. So that is one of the benefits on the accreditation side and also on the research publication side. My colleague Nada Badir from Na University, our good partner from Cairo, Egypt, said that she missed the first part of the session. If we covered how case topic selected, it is interesting. I'm happy to go through this again. The student did select that based on common interest. So this is critical because you want to make sure that everyone in the team has the buy-in. They all are excited about the topic. So they sit, they talk, squeeze those brain cells again and find something common, something they have as common interest. We start by the common name. Sometimes we ask them to provide a banner, something that represents everyone in the team. But then beyond that, also, as far as the topic, we ask the students, why this topic? Why this hook? Again, I see the comment there, Harvey Brightman, he's very big on hooks. Before you start telling a story, you have to have a hook, and the cases require a hook. So I think it's very critical to make sure that every member of the team is excited about that case topic and is willing to engage in, in research and collaboration with their teammates. So yes, it is student generated, but with great deal of support, especially at the front end, to make sure that you have smooth sailing afterwards.
Mm-hmm. I want to add something. Actually, it is part of the research where students need to look for interesting subject to their case studies. I think it will be easy for them if us who pick the topics. I think it is related to research, where it's them who are responsible to find that a common topic and an interesting topic at the same time.
Very good. I am looking here at the question, and I don't see any more questions. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Asma, ask you a question. The road ahead. This is a great project. What are you doing with the Georgia State and colleagues and maybe other institutions to make this part of the institutional kind of activities that are embedded at MSB and SMU?
Mm-hmm. So actually with, it is not that easy to be part of the virtual exchange, and that, of course, it should have a strong relationship with the faculty. We do have regular meetings where we need to keep each other updated of the situation of students if they are facing any challenges. Of course, you should be smooth, with the different time zones. So you may have a meeting at 8 p.m. In my time, and 3 p.m. in your time. So I think you should really enjoy the virtual exchange so you can forget about the efforts that you are doing.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. And there's quite a few projects in the timeline. Working on this and hopefully working on multiple partnerships, not just one-to-one, but bringing other partners and create the truly global.
We do really want to bring with us Morocco and Morocco, GSU, and MSB work on one project, and I hope we will apply that in the future.
Very good. And I see some of our partners here from around the globe are attending from South Africa, and from Egypt. The time is exactly 12 noon. Thank you, Esma, for sharing this experience with us, this high impact experience with us. And I am glad that CIBER gave us this opportunity. And thank you, CIBER, for giving us this chance. And it's a learning process where we don't have it fully right, but you know what, we learned through experiences. And we learned through failures, and we had some projects that did not succeed, but it's okay. We learn from them, and we keep moving forward. Again, thank you, CIBER, for the opportunity to be here on this webinar. Esma, thank you. I look forward to continuing working with you. Thank you. And Georgia State also wants to work with you, and I'll leave you for the last word, Esma.
Yes, so thank you very much, CIBER, first of all, for giving me the opportunity to share my experience from the North Africa, to share how we can use the SWIF technique. Thanks to Georgia State University, we are really, as MSB, really happy to be partnering in this really exciting virtual exchange. Thanks all to the attendees for today's, and hopefully to see you all in person.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are.